What are the top matchups to watch between the Eagles and the Rams? What are our player of the game predictions? All that and much more on EOP Pregame Live. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Eagles Pregame Live. We are breaking down Eagles versus Rams, top matchups to watch, everything you need to know in and out of everything we're going to see for today's game at 4 o'clock. Joining me, we've got Allison for the first time on Edge of Philly Sports at Allison Lombard on X. What's going on, Allison?
Not too much. I appreciate the invite. We interact all the time. I figured, might hop on the show and see how it goes.
Let's do this thing. And then also joining us, he is my man, Austin. What's going on, dude? How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, Dive. It's a beautiful Sunday morning. I'm looking forward to some West Coast Eagles football.
Yeah, let's just jump right in to our top matchups to watch. All right, Allison, it's your first time here. I'm going to throw to you. Lead us off. What is a matchup to watch here between the Eagles and the Rams?
Cooper Kupp versus whoever Philly has playing in the slot. I mean, that's an easy one. I mean, I might as well start with the easy ones, right?
Absolutely. I mean, that is such a massive, massive matchup to watch. The Eagles' coverage has been pretty suspect over the last few weeks. Puka, Nacua, Cooper Kupp. It's kind of interesting how these two teams match up, especially offensively. The Eagles' offense is literally 32nd in motion offense at 20%, while the Rams run the fifth most motion offense at 65%. I think by far, Allison, I agree. This is one of the biggest favors in their favor. The Rams rank first in throws between the hashes. The Eagles rank 30th in EPA per dropback in throws between the hashes. How do the Eagles match up against the Nacuas, against the Kupps? Cooper Kupp is arguably the best slot receiver in football. I have no idea what to expect from Bradley. Is it Roby or Robbie? I don't even know. That's what I mean. Like, I don't even know what to expect from this guy in the slot. Does anybody have any expectations? Because he's going to play.
He was really good a few years ago. I mean, he was, speaking of best stuff, he was one of the best slot corners in the league for a while. It's, a few years later now, so we'll see if he still has it.
Yeah.
But I like that more than Job or Goodrich or Rick Sharingo or anybody like that. Give it a shot, see how it goes. And I'm hearing he's, adapting to the defense quite well. He's a vet. He knows what he's doing. So hopefully he'll play, maybe even start.
Yeah, this matchup really gives me nightmares. You're going to see the Rams, especially watching tape against the Commanders last week. They're going to get the ball out fast. They're going to target the Eagles' safeties and linebackers in coverage. That's going to be a huge mismatch to watch. I'll throw it to you, Austin. Any reaction on that? And what's a matchup for you that you're watching?
Ironically enough, I was doing a bunch of my research last night, and I have the exact same thing. The Rams wide receiver core going up against.
Uh-oh. Can you hear him, Allison?
I couldn't until just now.
Uh-oh. It looks like we're having technical
I clicked unmute on my microphone, and it didn't unmute, but
all right, you're back.
I have the exact same thing as Allison for my matchup is the Eagles secondary against the Rams wide receiver. Getting Cooper Kupp back is huge for them in terms of the offense. It helps their receiving core be a bit more of a threat, in my opinion. Slade, Bradbury, and Roby are going to need a lot of over-the-top help with these guys. Nacua has had an incredible start to the year. He's been a fantasy gem. I mean, on the plus side though, the Eagles, one of their main concerns usually on defense every year is having to defend against the tight ends, and Tyler Higbee is one of those, I want to say, top 10 tight ends in the league. We've only allowed 94 yards to tight ends this year so far, so it's kind of it's a good thing that we haven't been as attacked this season so far from the tight end position. So you just have to hope that it sort of tends to stay that way, because the fact they have a lot of explosive wide receivers, they tend to limit the targets to Tyler Higbee throughout this game.
That's a really good one. One that this one's also kind of chalk, but Sua Opeta versus Aaron Donald. That's an obvious one. So far through 3 games, Aaron Donald has 2.5 sacks, 16 hurries, 22 total pressures, 10 run stops. Against the Colts last week, Aaron Donald had 8 total pressures. All in all, he ranks first in pass rush grade, pressures, pass rush win rate among defensive tackles this year. And we have Sua Opeta jumping in for Cam Jurgens this week. So far, Opeta has played 68 offensive snaps. He's only allowed 1 pressure on 36 pass blocking snaps. That's going to be a big one. A matchup that I really want to talk about is kind of not even between the Eagles and the Rams. It's kind of Jalen Hurts versus Brian Johnson, because there's been a lot of noise. There's been a lot of noise between Eagles fans and wanting Brian Johnson fired, and I think that's just completely nonsense. Has it been perfect? Absolutely not. The Eagles have the 7th best DVOA on offense in football, 12th best in passing DVOA, 3rd best in rushing DVOA. But what I want to see is continued progress from Jalen Hurts and Brian Johnson, especially when it comes to 12 personnel, especially when it comes to the RPOs, especially when it comes to being aggressive downfield. We didn't see the Eagles really go downfield until the 3rd quarter against the Commanders. And I think what I want to see today, most notably, is 12 personnel. The Eagles are 2nd best in the NFL in success rate when in 12 personnel. They only ran 6 snaps against the Commanders in 12 personnel. I want to see more of that against LA today. And I think just Jalen Hurts truly shines. He truly shines when he's playing a numbers game against the defense. We saw it last year in the RPOs. He's so freaking good at finding the number mismatches, finding the gaps in the box, forcing defenses into single high coverage. That's what Jalen Hurts does. That's when it opens up so much for A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. That's why they were so lethal, moving the ball effectively downfield last year. I think Hurts's pocket management has been a little bit up and down throughout the first 4 games. When you go to the other side, what they need to improve on is the RPO offense, and it's, I think, just motion offense. I think the RPO offense has really been sluggish out the gate. You look at this, RPO runs for the Eagles this year, 17, just 3.6 yards per carry. They averaged 4.4 last season. RPO passes, they only have 9 and just 3.9 yards per completion. The Eagles averaged 9.4 yards per completion in 2022. And that's an Eagles team that is running the 10th most RPOs per game. So I want to see more improvement in the RPOs. And then when you get to motion offense, they're dead last in the NFL at 20%. But they're also 4th best in success rate. So in summary, I think the Eagles, all the puzzle pieces for an elite Eagles offense, top 5 offense, top 2, top 3 offense, are on the board. The puzzle pieces are there. It's just up to Jalen Hurts and Brian Johnson to kind of put it all together. That's my take. Does anybody else have any? Let's go to some comments real quick, and then we'll throw some more mismatches. Talking Philly sports with Matty B says, "Is this a trap game?" Anybody have a response to that? Allison?
I mean, I know they're 2-2. The Rams are a good team. Yeah. And McVay is a really good offensive coach. And I don't know if Philly has trap games. I don't know if that's in the Philly culture, because nothing is ever good enough. And, let's nitpick the smallest things. So when you have that kind of environment as a culture, you don't really have trap games. So that's, I guess, my answer.
Yeah. Austin?
Yeah, I mean, I would like to hope it's not a trap game just because of the fact that the way the Eagles have been playing so far has been very solid. And the Rams, they did just blow a 23-point lead and have to win out in overtime last week. So there's a lot of questions for them coming into this game. Is Stafford really healthy? Because he's been dealing with a few things for the past couple of weeks. Their run game hasn't really been able to get going as effectively as it could, even though they have the overall splits show that their running offense scores more than their passing offense right now. But they've only played one game at home, so the home road splits aren't really going to matter too much right now. So you really hope that Philly can come in and just play the dominant football that we know they're capable of playing.
Yeah, I agree with everything you guys just said. I think this is going to be a close game. We're going to get into that in just a little bit. But Matty B, I think it's absolutely a close game. Carlos says run the ball. I absolutely think this is a game we're going to see the Eagles run the ball a lot. We'll get into why in just a little bit. Brad says, I'm very confident the Eagles can beat the Rams 35-7. I am not even remotely close to that score prediction, but I love the optimism. Run the ball. RJIZ Live says, I'm nervous about this game. I'm nervous too. I am absolutely terrified of how this Rams offense can exploit some of the weaknesses the Eagles have in coverage. Brad says defense really needs to come up big and shut down the Rams offense. Anybody else have any other matchups to watch between the Eagles and Rams? I have a few more.
I feel like just elaborating on the one that you said about, the interior offensive line going up against Aaron Donald is going to be huge because if you want the rushing game to really be as effective as it can, running between the tackles is where we've had a lot of success so far this season. And Aaron Donald's going to do everything in his power to disrupt that. And you just need to be sound in the trench and just be able to create those lanes and get guys like DeAndre Swift going early.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely agree. Allison, do you have another matchup to watch?
Well, you Freudianly said mismatch. And this might be one. I like Desai a lot, and without going too deep in the quads versus all the stuff we're doing now, a lot more cover 3 it looks like, based on some data. I really think so. Philly fans are talking about Philly culture, man press, aggressive defense, all this stuff. So I wrote a bunch of articles last season defending Gannon's quads defense and all this stuff, and I got all this hate for it and all this stuff. This is one game you can't wait to third down to be aggressive and to be creative. Yeah. It's got to be every single down. The Rams offense is the best at taking advantage of spacing, typically associated with zone coverage and looser zones and all that stuff. Yeah. And got to see the most aggressive, probably the side defense that we've seen all season. And that's not just a Philly, I worship a statue of Buddy Ryan when I get up in the morning. It's not that kind of thing. Just logistically, it's going to be necessary because of the strengths and the style of the Rams offense and what we've been doing defensively. It needs to be a lot more press man, a lot tighter coverage, etc. Even if it means giving up the occasional big shot over the top.
Yeah, absolutely. Davey says Aaron Donald has never had a sack against us. That's interesting. That's a good stat. I didn't know that. That kind of goes into my other matchup to watch, and that's the pass rush. The Eagles pass rush, and Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford leads the NFL in big time throws with 11, and this Rams offensive line has not been great when it comes to pass protection. They're 28th in pass block win rate, and that should be a reason for Hassan Reddick, Brandon Graham, Josh Sweat to really have some big games and help out this Eagles coverage unit. That's what I'm looking for. And, better news is that the Rams have some injuries on that offensive line that could really be issues. Last week was really frustrating, right? Like we all saw Sam Howell beat the Eagles defense with his legs again and again and again. I think he had like 5 carries for 40 yards. It seemed like every single time Jalen Carter got in the backfield or Josh Sweat, the Commanders had an answer. Stafford's not going to beat the Eagles with his legs. So we'll see how that develops. That's a really fun one to watch. So that being said, Quinn says, how are the Rams versus the run? Let's get into it. That's another big matchup to watch. DeAndre Swift versus this Rams run defense. We all know the Eagles' zone rushing attack is as elite as it gets. They have been opening up massive holes for Swift all season long. They have the #1 run blocking grade per Pro Football Focus at 80.6. The Eagles run the 4th most gap runs in the league, highest success rate at 58%. You look at kind of the Rams run defense. Jonah Williams, I don't even know who that guy is, but he's top 10 in run block win rate. So there's that guy. He's, I believe, an edge rusher. He doesn't really give you a lot when it comes to pass rush, but he's one to watch out for. I think, Swift only put like 56 yards on the ground last week, but I thought he was very good when his name was called. Way better than Gainwell. I think that's beyond obvious. It's just night and day when those two are on the football field. So I look at this game to be a big DeAndre Swift game. According to this was the hardest one, Quentin, to dissect, and we're going to find out at 4:00 today, because according to FTN Fantasy, the Rams have the 24th best run defense DVOA. That's good. That's in favor of the Eagles, right? But when you look at ESPN Analytics, according to them, they have the 3rd best run stop win rate at 35%. They are tied with the Eagles, and the Eagles' run defense has been borderline playing at a historic rate. So we'll see. I don't know what it means at the end of the day. We have Phil checking in, trending in the AM, Philly Sports Network, man. Amazing, amazing show. Go check them out every morning. DeAndre Swift, this Eagles rushing attack, I don't know if there's any Cobra Kai fans out there, but sometimes the best defense is a great offense, and expect the Eagles to really control time of possession with an effective run game. We're going to get into our top 5 keys to victory. I'm going to touch on that in just a little bit. Thanks for the comment, Phil. Let's talk about our top 5 keys to victory for the Eagles today. I'll throw it to you, Austin. Just quickly list 1 through 5.
All right, I'm going to start from 5 and work my way up. Number 5, get to Stafford early and often. He averages 7.4 yards per pass. He has the 3rd most passing yards in the NFL. If you can contain him and not let him get as many good targets to guys like Puka Nacua, Tutu Atwell, Cooper Kupp, you're going to be in a way better position than you are having to, also worry about how much the chunk of yardage that they're going to get. Number 2, the Eagles secondary keeping, the wide receiver core limited. The better you play in the secondary, the less targets they're going to get, the better off you're going to be throughout the entirety of the game. Contain the Rams run game. They have 9 total TDs. 6 of them are on the ground. Keeping the fans out of the game for the LA Rams, because like I said, it's only their 2nd home game this season. And then my final one is the Eagles O-line preventing Aaron Donald from getting to Jalen Hurts too often, because of the fact that the more that you can let Jalen Hurts get creative, bouncing out of the pocket, working in the pocket, you're going to be in for a really good game.
Are there even Rams fans? Do they even exist? I don't know.
I hope they do. I work with one.
Okay, there you go. I remember the story from years ago when they were paying people to go to the stadium. It was a hot mess. Allison, what are your top 5 keys for an Eagles victory?
So definitely the Eagles pass defense, in particular, the slot matchups and all that stuff. I think Bradbury and Slate, if they're playing outside, will do okay. Their other receivers aren't great. I mean, obviously Nacua and Kupp are very good. Got to watch out for Atwell. He's got some nice deep speed, and you want to be more aggressive, but you want to have some help over the top. I don't know if cover 5 is a thing. I'm trying to look up all these stats and stuff, and no one ever talks about it. That's like my favorite defense ever, because you got some help over the top, but you can be aggressive in the quick game. And I think the size aggressiveness on defense, especially in early downs, I think that's another key. Obviously, like you're saying, watching out for the interior pass rush, Aaron Donald, etc., especially with Opeta being, in the game. That would be my number 3. One thing, I know the Rams run, I think, more too high safety than almost any team in the league, right? So there's going to be plenty of opportunities to run. I know last season the Eagles ran like 90-some% plus inside zone. I think it's a little bit different now. I think there's some more outside zone. You mentioned a small number gap scheme. So trap, power counter, etc. Is that what you're talking about?
Mm.
So I think I definitely want to see. I was going to say this side, I'm kind of obsessed with defense. I want to see Johnson get a little bit more diverse in the run game. That would be my second to last one. And then I'm going to mention special teams. I was really impressed with Covey that one game. I forget which one it was. He got a 50-yard return. Was it Tampa Bay or something?
Yeah, sounds right.
And I mean, well, we're going to get this score predictions in a minute. It's going to be a close game, so any kind of special teams advantage you can get would be key.
Love it. I'll quick read off mine. Number 5 for me, start strong defensively for the Philadelphia Eagles. I expect the Rams offense to go hard out the gate. This is a team that had a 23-0 lead in the first half last week. A team that scored on 4 of the first 5 possessions. Stafford has the 7th most passing yards in the first quarter this year. The Rams averaged the 9th most points in the first quarter this year. So expect Cooper Kupp to be targeted from the jump. Same with Nacua. It's really imperative the Eagles defense be really solid. And to be fair, the Eagles defense has been really good in first quarters this season. They are allowing only 1.8 points per game in first quarters through the first 4 games. Number 4 for me is feed the beast, and the guys I'm talking about here is DeAndre Swift and Jalen Hurts. Man, like you said, there's going to be a lot of too high safeties, which means there should be a lot of space for Hurts, and there should be a lot of space for Swift to kind of get a lot of good yards on the ground. The Rams do not want to stack the box. The Rams run a lot of too high light box defenses, and I think the Eagles can exploit that. This should be a time when Hurts and Swift should get a good amount of yards and control that clock. Number 3 for me, clean up the mess, man. Clean up the mess. The bonehead mistakes have to stop for the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles have the 10th most penalties in the league the last 3 games. And I got to call out the Eagles O-line a little bit too. Mailata has 3 penalties in 4 games. He had 7 total last season. Landon Dickerson has 4. He had 14 last year. The only guy with 0 penalties so far this year is Jason Kelce. I want to see the Eagles pass protection play a clean game today. I want to see Jalen Hurts kept clean. Number 2, obviously, get home against Stafford. Sometimes the best way to protect your coverage is an effective pass rush. Week 4, the Commanders' offense had the fourth most efficient offense in the NFL. The Eagles did have 5 sacks against Washington, but only 2 of those came were attributed to the defensive line. The Eagles' defensive line has to be better here in Week 5. What we saw against Sam Howell cannot happen today. The Rams are too good. And number 1 for me is get home in the zone. And I think that is all about the Eagles' red zone offense. For me, they have to capitalize on opportunities inside the 20-yard line. The Eagles have a 46.1% success rate this season compared to 68% in 2022. Yes, small sample size. But the good news is the Rams' red zone defense absolutely sucks. They are 26th best when it comes to red zone defense at 70%. So I think a huge key in this one is whatever team capitalizes in the red zone probably gets that W, because I do agree. Allison, I think this is going to be a very close game. With that being said, let's get into our player of the game and score predictions. Lead us off, Allison. What do you got?
I appreciate going first because I know someone wants to take this. DeAndre Swift.
Ah, man. All right. That sucks. Yeah, so Austin, nobody else can take DeAndre Swift. So DeAndre Swift is off the board. What's your score prediction as well?
Player of the game prediction for me is going to be AJ Brown. I feel like if we can get through the Rams zone defense, especially with the fact they play the 2 high safeties a lot, AJ Brown will end up probably feasting pretty well if we can get the protection that we need. And I have the Eagles winning this game 27-20.
27-20 for Austin. AJ Brown is a great choice. There should be a lot of opportunities for AJ Brown down that sideline if the Eagles can kind of put pressure on that Rams defense, maybe put a guy in the box. Who knows? For me, I'm going Jalen Carter. You look at Fletcher Cox being out of this one. Maybe Jalen Carter gets the most snaps he's played in a game this week. I expect also more Milton Williams, which is a good thing. But Jalen Carter playing in a game probably against his idol in Aaron Donald. Not against him, but he's there. I can't wait for those photo ops and all that kind of stuff because I'm just completely and utterly obsessed with Jalen Carter. He's playing like an all-pro, not defensive rookie of the year. He's playing like an all-pro. And I look at this Rams offensive line, the injuries, the rotating guys on the interior. I expect a big game out of Jalen Carter. More snaps, more pressures. Matthew Stafford's not going to beat this Eagles defense with his legs like Howell did last week. I'm feeling good about a Jalen Carter game. But I'm going to go Eagles get a W 29-27. My player of the game, I'm going to also throw out another player of the game, and it kind of goes into Allison's thought on special teams. Jake Elliott, arguably the team MVP so far through 4 games. I think this is going to be a one-possession game down to the wire. Jake Elliott with the game-winning field goal with very little time remaining. Quentin says Hurts via shootout 37-34. I don't know if my heart can take that, but that's about it for pregame. I'll throw it to you, Allison. Final thoughts on the Eagles versus Rams. Plugs. Time is yours.
So it'll be a close game. It'll be exciting. I'm thinking 24-20 Birds. And I'm Allison Lombard on Twitter. I do a lot of Eagles content, so feel free to reach out. And I like doing this kind of stuff. So if you got some room on your show, let me know. Yeah.
Allison has one of the best Twitter accounts. Truly breaks it down. If you are a fan of analytics and matchups and crunching the numbers, make sure you give Allison a follow at Allison Lombard. Amazing. Thank you so much for joining. Hopefully the first of many. Austin, final thoughts. Plug.
Exact same thing that Allison said. This is going to be a really fun game. It's going to be really tough. And as we can tell from our predictions, all 3 of us have this coming down to a one-possession game. So if the Eagles can just do what they need to do, the offensive line protects, the defensive line cracks the Rams offensive line, it's going to be a really fun game to be able to watch. And the fact that it's a 4:00 game, so I can actually get a few things done before the madness starts, is going to be fun. If you're looking for me on I guess I'll just call it X, because I keep using Twitter and I feel like I need to start adjusting. So it's never going back, and I'm sad for that. You can catch me there at Austin_EOP every Thursday night. Well, most Thursday nights, depending on the Phillies schedule now, because of postseason. You can catch me 9 p.m. here on EOP talking Philadelphia Union soccer. I'm a bit of a jack of all trades. I'm going to be starting to jump into the Flyer stuff, but I will also be back here post game with Mike Lauro and Ryan Reese. So make sure you stay tuned for that as well.
Yep. If you love the Eagles, make sure you hit that subscribe button. When the game starts, we'll have halftime live with me and Shane. Post game, when the clock hits 0, with Austin, my man Ryan Reese, and Mike Lauro of PM and the AM. So, of course, all the shorts, highlight reels, all 22s you can think of. Just want to say thank you, everyone, to watching. For Allison, for Austin, for myself, stay awesome, everyone. Go Birds.